peace discussions were in session, President Wilson sent General James Harbord to Turkey and Armenia to explore the possibility of an American mandate which would make the new independent Armenian nation a protectorate of the United States. The concluding remarks of the Harbord report reassured the Armenian cabinet. If we refuse to assume a mandate, we shall be considered by many millions of people as having left unfinished the task for which we entered the war and as having betrayed their hopes. Finally, on May 24th, 1920, in a message to Congress, President Wilson asked for a United States mandate over Armenia. But it was defeated in Congress by the growing tide of isolationism. President Wilson, however, maintained his concern for the Armenians. On August 10th of the same year, the Treaty of Sevres was signed between the Allied powers and the Republic of Armenia and Turkey, recognizing an Armenian state over the former Turkish provinces. It is the Treaty of Sevres, together with the establishment of the Republic of Armenia, that provides the legal basis for territorial claims by the Armenians against Turkey. Resurgent Turkish nationalism under Mustafa Kemal Pasha, however, refused to accept the establishment of a national home for the Armenians. No world power came to aid the Armenians, and the Republic of Armenia collapsed. Turkish armies again occupied traditional Armenian lands. Only a small part of Armenia was spared Turkish annexation by becoming a Soviet state. Most of historic Armenia fell back into Turkish hands. All that remains of the Republic of Armenia are its archives hidden in this guarded vault on the continent of North America. The Armenians who survived were scattered around the globe. Friendly Arab people welcomed and sheltered the Armenians. By 1930, large Armenian communities had taken root in the security of Arab countries and began to rebuild their national identity.
I think particularly important for Armenian young people, wherever they are, that they understand that immense indeed as this loss was, it has to be viewed within the context of an ongoing Armenian history and creativity which will absorb this tragedy and use it and the lessons that it betokens for a reestablishment of a sovereign Armenian entity someday in the future.
We have to keep in mind again the historic fact here, and that is that in World War I, one of the greatest of President Wilson's 14 points was that of self-determination of peoples. And I believe it's essential that United States foreign policy recognize the legitimacy of the Armenian emphasis on eventual self-determination.
Turks destroyed the Armenians in the churches, scattered their bodies in the desert. From the dust of their bones, Armenians took seed all over the world. In the early morning, Mount Ararat stands faintly across the frontier of Soviet Armenia. from Turkish oppression. Historic preservation is stressed. Illustrated manuscripts are repaired. The arts are encouraged, and scientific learning is pursued. Since the days of the First World War, the Armenian population has increased to over 6 million throughout the entire world. Rebirth of Armenian consciousness has taken place. The Armenians have prospered.
One can never predict what curious events may take place in the history even of a subsequent year. There may be an upheaval in the Middle East. There may be changes in the whole political configuration of Asia. And if those changes do take place, one can never predict them. Then plainly there has to be a kind of ideological foothold which can immediately be exploited. That ideology will never in turn be alive and viable unless it has been continually imbued into the minds of your young people through a program of endless cultural and ideological training.
While new generations of Armenians are born, the lands of historical Armenia in Turkey remain barren. Before 1915, Harpert was an intellectual center. Today, nothing remains. My family home was torn down along with Armenian historical monuments. The thriving Armenian city of Van was also leveled by the Turks during the 1915 genocide. Only 2 Turkish minarets remain above the rubble of Armenian homes. The cultural genocide continues. Armenian historic landmarks in Turkey are purposefully destroyed in an attempt to erase the fact that Armenians ever lived here. Ani, Armenia's ancient capital, remains in ruins, only 300 yards from the Soviet-Armenian border. Along with Mount Ararat and Lake Van, Ani is among the 3 most important sites of historical Armenia. The Armenians now demand the return of these Western Armenia lands.
Every once in a while we've been able to here or there build something up, you know, and we've always built. Even under oppression we've built. And when they came and knocked everything down, took away the people, raped the people, killed the people, we built up again, and we built up again, and we can keep doing this. What we need is a sophisticated, modern approach to the whole political question. Politics. We're not very politically mature yet, but we're getting there. And to get people paying attention to you, you have to believe in your cause so that they'll believe in it, and then they'll care about it. It's sad because Armenians have been doing peaceful, you know, demonstrating peacefully. No one listens. Well, maybe if a few buildings get blown up, people will start listening.
The resolution of the Armenian case is at the crossroads. Survivors of the genocide are dying. New generations are outraged by the crimes of the Turks and the indifference of the world powers. Armenians are demanding more positive, more forceful action. Crimes against humanity have no statute of limitations. The spirit of Sardarabad again is alive among the Armenians.
One of the main causes of this demonstration is that we want our territories back from the occupied areas that Turkey is presently holding.
We want the land that Turkey has kept for 60 years.
You want it back?
Uh-huh, we want it back.
You have to fight for your home. You have to fight for your identity. That's the only way we're going to give it. Nobody's going to give it to us.
Abraham Lincoln was called the man of velvet and steel. The Armenian people have been using the velvet approach long enough. Now it's time to apply the steel treatment.
Justice means for the Turks to recognize what they did and to give some type of reparation, somewhat like the Germans did to the Jews during World War II. The world recognizes the Jewish genocide, but they have not looked at the Armenian genocide. If they looked at the Armenian genocide, there might never have been a Jewish genocide.
We have to go out and prepare ourselves mentally, intellectually and spiritually to make the necessary sacrifices of time, energy, devotion, and in the last resort, blood in our lives. Because as Chaim Hayek said at the Treaty of Berlin, the only way we're going to get our rights and our demands is by Armenians going out and getting them for themselves.
I am reminded of those wonderful words of Yeti Shecharev.
The Armenian case will succeed only through the strength and unity of the Armenian people. The Armenians are determined to pursue their case against Turkey until the civilized world recognizes that inhumanity and injustice, unchecked, are a threat to all people.